Close your eyes. What does traffic sound to you? Maybe a few cars? A honking taxi? Or a rumble of buses? Now listen to this. It isn't a parade, it's just Monday morning. Every single day, more than 250 million motorcycles take the streets of Southeast Asia. That's nearly one motorcycle for every 3 people living in the region. In cities like Ho Chi Minh City or Jakarta, motorcycles don't just outnumber cars, they dominate them. The first-time visitor, this looks impossible. Thousands of riders, no perfect lines, no obvious order, people carrying entire families, televisions, furniture, live chickens, even refrigerators. Yet somehow it works. Accidents happen, of course. Traffic jams are legendary. But every morning, millions of people perform what looks like a choreographed dance without even rehearsing. So here's the question. How did an entire region become dependent on motorcycles? Not on cars, not on trains. And why does Southeast Asia look so different from anywhere else on Earth? The answer isn't simply that motorcycles are cheap. It's a story of colonialism, war, rapid economic growth, one brilliant Japanese inventor, and cities that were never meant for cars in the first place. Because believe it or not, there was a time when Southeast Asia was not filled with motorcycles at all. So, how did everything change? To understand why motorcycles conquered Southeast Asia, we have to go back nearly 80 years. After World War II, much of Southeast Asia was in ruins. Countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines, Cambodia, and Laos were just emerging from wars, colonial rule, or both. Infrastructure was limited. Roads outside major cities were nothing more but little dirt tracks. Rail networks were not sparse. Public transportation barely reached local communities and rural communities. And owning a car, for many people, that was not just expensive, that was unthinkable. In many countries, owning a car is worth years and years of the average worker's salary. Even if you somehow managed to get a car, where would you drive it? Many streets were just too narrow. Parking barely existed. Fuel was expensive. Maintenance required special mechanics. Cars made sense in places such as the United States or Europe, where cities expanded around highways. But Southeast Asia had grown differently. Many of its cities are old, long before anyone imagined an automobile. Their streets were designed for people walking, bicycles, a horse-drawn cart, not these giant steel boxes that weigh over a ton. As populations exploded during the 1950s and the 1960s, governments faced a massive challenge. Millions of people needed an affordable way to travel, and millions of them couldn't afford buying cars. The region needed something different, something else. Something cheap, reliable, simple. It turned out Japan had built exactly what Southeast Asia was looking for. In 1958, Honda introduced a motorcycle that looked almost too simple to succeed, the Honda Super Cub. With a tiny 50cc engine, most people didn't really expect much of that. It wasn't built for speed, it wasn't designed for racing, it didn't even look so cool. Actually, most motorcycle enthusiasts laughed because it looked just simple. However, Honda's founder, Soichiro Honda, was not simply making a motorcycle here. He was solving a problem. Back then, most people were not really looking for excitement. They were looking for freedom. The Super Cub was designed for ordinary people, farmers, teachers, students, grandpas and grandmas, people who never rode motorcycles before. Not those motorcycle enthusiasts, not experts. Instead of forcing riders to learn complicated manual transmissions, Honda simply created what it's called semi-automatic or semi-automatic gearbox. And what made it very unique is the low step-through frame that it had. Instead of sitting on a high seat swinging your legs, you can easily touch the ground with your feet, and you can wear whatever clothes you want, whether it's dresses, tight jeans, comfortably on these motorcycles without worrying about your clothes. It also consumed very little fuel. It was unbelievably reliable and it barely broke. Almost every mechanic can fix it, even if it broke. And for millions of families, that was not just a motorcycle, it was independence. And then comes the fun part. Honda Cub isn't just the best-selling motorcycle ever. No, it's the best-selling vehicle ever made in the history of automobiles. That's even more legendary than a Toyota Corolla or a Volkswagen car. As economies grew in Southeast Asia back in the 80s and the 90s, people looked for something different, something more comfortable, more stylish, slightly bigger, and Honda answered with another legend, the Honda Dream. If the Super Cub introduced motorcycles to Southeast Asia, the Dream became the motorcycle everybody dreamed of owning. Throughout Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos, buying a Honda Dream isn't just buying transportation. It was a proof that your family doing better. It's buying status. Owning one Honda Dream meant that you have made it in life. The original Japanese-made Honda Dream quickly earned the reputation of being nearly indestructible. People rode them for decades. Grandpas passed them down to their children and grandchildren until today. It's very common to see the 1990s Honda Dream driving hundreds of kilometers. That level of reliability has made Honda Dream the most successful, I would say, motorcycle was ever built, especially in Vietnam or Thailand. And soon Honda became dominant. If you walk in Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City, Jakarta, or any other Southeast Asian city, the name Honda is on every corner. You'll see street signs with the name Honda on them. The name Honda is more iconic to the point that Vietnamese people do not even refer to a motorcycle as a motorcycle. They would say, I will go ride my Honda instead of I'll go ride my bike. Think of it like when you are searching on something, you immediately say, I'll Google it, or I'll Google that, instead of saying, I'll search that. A Vietnamese will say, I'll go drive my Honda, rather than saying, I'll go drive my motorcycle, which tells you something of how big Honda became thanks to that one vehicle, the Super Cub. At that point, motorcycles stopped being just transportation. They became economical infrastructure. Think about it. A motorcycle could carry a worker to a factory, deliver food across the city, transport tools to construction sites, take children to school, bring grandparents to hospitals, carry groceries home, and do it all over again the next day. For millions of people, one motorcycle replaced an entire family's car. But perhaps the biggest revolution came decades later, the smartphone. With the rise of the smartphone, companies like Grab and Gojek in Indonesia arrived. They completely changed urban life. Need dinner? A motorcycle will bring it. Forgot your phone charger? A motorcycle will bring it too. Need to go somewhere during the rush hours? A motorcycle will do it. It's a lot faster than a car taxi. And that has turned to millions of people earning their living every single day on these motorcycles. Without motorcycles, Southeast Asian economy wouldn't exist the way you see it now. That little machine that once carried farmers and students now carries entire economies. But every success story comes with a price. As income increased, people did not stop buying motorcycles. They bought more. Today, Vietnam has more than 70 million registered vehicles despite having a population of only 100 million people. And that's pretty much one motorbike for every 1.5 human. And we're talking only about the registered ones, alright? Imagine the number if we count the unregistered motorcycles. It will be massive. Indonesia has well over 120 million motorcycles registered. Thailand has one of the highest rates of motorcycle ownership in the world, and that has led to roads becoming very crowded. The air became noisier, traffic jams became everyday struggle, and unfortunately, so are accidents. According to the World Health Organization, Thailand has consistently ranked among the countries with the highest road traffic fatality rates in the world, with motorcycles accounting for the overwhelming majority of those deaths. Motorcycles give riders freedom, but they also leave them exposed. Unlike a car, there is no steel frame to protect the rider or the driver of the vehicle. No airbags, just a helmet, which pretty much does not really save you from a lot here, maybe not dying, but you end up with broken limbs, scratches, and the rest. Yet, despite all these risks, millions and millions still drive those motorcycles until now because they're simply not just means of transport, they are the most crucial way of getting around in their lives. The very machine that has transformed the region and had participated into the growth of their economies is also the machine that is bringing tons and tons of trouble nowadays to the same countries that embraced that machine in the first place. Take one look at any intersection in Southeast Asia. Most tourists will say, "I'll never cross that road." But that's only from above. From above, it looks like complete madness. Thousands of motorcycles, cars squeezing through, buses forcing their way forward, people walking straight into traffic, jaywalking. No one appears to be following the traffic rules. Yet somehow, most of the time, everything kept moving. So what's going on? Believe it or not, there is actually a heading system. Traffic engineers call this self-organizing traffic. Unlike cars, motorcycles take tiny spaces on the road. They accelerate quickly, they brake quickly, and change directions almost instantly. Instead of waiting for a large gap, riders make hundreds of decisions every minute. One rider slows down slightly, another moves a few centimeters to the left, someone else speeds up just enough to avoid contact. Now multiply these tiny decisions by thousands of riders, and something incredible happens. The traffic starts to organize itself. It's less like watching cars, but more like watching a school of fish. Each individual seems unpredictable, but together they move as one. It's not perfect, it's not always safe, but it's surprisingly efficient. That creates something called chaotic harmony. If you ever visited Vietnam, Indonesia, Thailand, or Cambodia, you probably experienced one of these situations where you found yourself standing on the sidewalk waiting for the traffic to disappear so you can cross the road. You wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes, nothing changes until you see a local just pushing his way, jaywalking throughout the road in the midst of that traffic while every other motorcycle slows down perfectly on time just for that man or that woman to pass the road. So how does every motorcycle just simply flows around that simple local man or woman crossing the road randomly? Again, riders are not aiming for where you are, they are simply predicting where you're going. And the biggest mistake tourists make that they stop halfway while crossing a road. This is very dangerous because the riders are predicting where you're going, which is the other side of the road. So they slow down and adjust themselves so they can just pass by you while you're walking. And if you stop in the middle of the road, the riders are predicting that you're still moving. So you might end up crashing because the rider did not predict that you will be freezing in the middle of the road. That happens simply because you get scared or you've never seen anything like that before, and I don't blame you. However, it's very dangerous because you can simply get ran over by a motorcycle because the predictability was not in your favor. Locals simply know the secret. Walk at a steady pace. Do not panic. Do not run. Do not suddenly change direction. Trust that everyone on the road has already seen you. And I get it. It's one of the strangest experiences anyone coming from a Western country will experience. And somehow, after a few days experiencing this, everything becomes normal to you. You become adjusted to that situation. You know the drill, you're not afraid anymore, and this becomes your norm. As Southeast Asia grow wealthier, more people are going or leaning towards having a car. A car is a lot safer, a lot more comfortable for you as an individual or if you have a family. At first, that sounds like progress. Until you can imagine replacing all these motorcycles with SUVs, for example. The results would be catastrophic. If one motorcycle takes a tiny fraction on the road compared to a car, imagine replacing all these motorcycles with cars. You will have more than just one problem. Parking will become impossible or almost impossible. Road clogs and congestion is just an every minute thing. Traveling will take way longer time. Ironically, the very thing most people think that is causing the traffic is what's actually saving these cities from the traffic, actually preventing much worse problem from coming up. If every motorcycle in Ho Chi Minh City becomes a car, the city will come to a standstill. Nothing will move. But change is coming. Governments across Southeast Asia are trying to reduce pollution. Cities are investing billions in metro systems. Electric buses are becoming more common, and electric motorcycles are quietly replacing gas engines. Companies like VinFast in Vietnam, along with Honda, Yamaha, and several Chinese manufacturers, are betting that the future, of course, will still have the two wheels, just quieter ones. The question isn't whether motorcycles will disappear or not, it's whether they will evolve or not. Because even as cities modernize, the basic problem remains the same. Millions of people need fast, cheap travel, an efficient way to pierce throughout the crowded cities and streets. And unfortunately, until nowadays, nothing does that better than a motorcycle. When people look at Southeast Asian cities, they often think of chaos, they see noise, they see confusion. But look a little closer. You'll see something else. Parents taking their children to school, small business owners delivering food, students chasing their dreams, families building better lives. And none of that would have been possible nowadays if it wasn't for that simple machine. Motorcycles did not become king because people just simply loved them. It became the king because it gave people a solution they never thought of, better than any car or any other vehicle could have ever done. It gave millions of people freedom. What started was one small Japanese-made vehicle in 1958 grew into one of the greatest transportation revolutions in the modern history. Today, more than 250 million motorcycles and scooters have been shaping the lives of millions, hundreds of millions of people across Southeast Asia. Still looks like chaos, but to people living here, it's simply life. So the next time you see millions of motorcycles flowing through the streets of Bangkok or Ho Chi Minh City, you're not just watching traffic, you're watching history.